Yo, what up guys, I'm Sammy and welcome back to the Soul Drop, and this is my performance review of the Puma MB.03. So this is Lamelo Ball's third signature shoe with Puma, of course, and this shoe retails for $125. So if you guys do want to cop, I try to leave in the field link in the description box. But let's get started right off with the Tracciones. In this colorway, we have like a semi-translucent outsole, right, with this kind of slime color, and then it also says rare, which is pretty cool, I think, right? So if you put it like this, it says rare on the outsole, right? And also we have this kind of like flower traction pattern going on. It kind of reminds me of SpongeBob, you know, the SpongeBob skies. That's kind of what it reminds me of with the flowers, which is pretty cool. I do like the design. How is the traction? How does it perform? It doesn't perform very well, right? So when I first got it, it wasn't amazing, right? I did need to break it in, and once I broke it in for like a couple days, it did seem to get a little bit better. So if you're playing on a clean court, it's pretty good. You know, it has a nice bite. It's not amazing, however. I wouldn't say it's top tier even. I'll just say it's a pretty good bite, you know, which of course it's a good thing. If you're playing on a clean court, you should be fine with the MB.03. However, if you're playing on a dusty setting, this shoe slides around a good amount, right? You're gonna have to wipe a lot, right? So it does pick up a good amount of dust and it picks it up pretty fast. So like every 1 to 2 plays, you're gonna have to wipe, right? It is a very easy wipe. However, you just go 1 to 2 easy wipes and you're good to go. So that's not a huge issue, but just be careful because it just doesn't bite, of course, on dust very well. But I guess if you don't mind wiping, then you should be fine. But if you do mind wiping, you don't really want to wipe often, then obviously the shoe is not the best, right? If you're playing on a dusty court. If you're playing on an outdoor court, you should be okay. I mean, the rubber seems pretty hard, right? But the grooves are kind of thin, you know, so it's probably not the best option for outdoor use, but I feel like it'll be okay because it also says it's high abrasion rubber, right, on their tech spec. So they're probably gearing it towards outdoor use a little bit as well. So I feel like outdoor use, you should be okay. But yeah, overall the traction was you know, I didn't have an amazing time because like, especially, you know, nowadays it's been very windy out here in California, very windy, very dry. So it's been super dusty on the courts, and some shoes I've been like liking a lot because they actually bite through dust very well. And then with the MB.03, it hasn't really been biting that well, you know. So there's the traction there. Moving on to the heel to toe transition. Overall, it feels pretty smooth, but it does feel a little bit more on the stiffer side of things, right? So here in the heel, we have a little bit of a rounded shape, right? So that feels pretty nice. And also the nitro foam is kind of exposed besides in the back of the heel, but it feels pretty smooth in the heel. It does clunk a little bit, right? And here in the forefoot, we have a nice curved shape and very minimal flex here in the forefoot, right? So I guess this curved shape does definitely help with the heel to toe transition. So it's not super terrible. It's not very clunky or anything, but because of the stiffer kind of flex, it doesn't really feel super duper smooth to me, in my personal opinion. I feel like that has something to do with also like how thick the rubber is. Look at that, right? So the overall heel to toe transition is all right when you're doing heel dominant strides down the court. And now moving on to the cushioning setup. So we have full length nitro foam and it feels all right, you know what I mean? So court feel isn't the best. You're kind of high up off the ground, and if you want impact protection, you get great impact protection. There is a little bit of compression as well. It's not super duper soft, but it is soft, so that feels nice too. But I didn't really like it all too much because they made the court feel pretty bad, but also the cushion isn't super soft like how I thought it would be, you know what I mean? For some reason I thought, you know, because of the higher court feel, it will be a little bit softer, it will be a little bit more comfortable. But I guess it does, you know, you got impact protection covered, you know what I mean? It's not terrible or anything. So yeah, I mean, it's an okay cushioning setup in my personal opinion. Like if you're looking for, I guess like it's a pretty responsive cushioning setup as well. The only bad thing is that I did feel kind of high up off the ground. So if you do want court feel, obviously this is not a great option. But if you want impact protection, if you want a little bit of comfort, especially step-in comfort is pretty nice because of the insole. The strobe board is on the stiffer side of things. I wish they would make a softer strobe board, but the insole does help a good amount because Puma makes a really thick insole, right? So there's the cushioning setup there. Another thing that I forgot to mention is the outsole curvature. There is a little bit of an outsole curvature, especially seen from like the MB1 and 2, and you can see the outsole curvature coming up, you know, on the medial side. It wraps up and gives you a little bit more grip when you're doing these types of movements, right? And also you have more rubber here, right? So that's nice if you're doing these types of movements. However, like I said, the traction wasn't amazing, you know, so there's that. Moving on to the upper. The upper is really stiff, right? And I don't like that personally, and it did get softer, right? It did get a little bit softer once I, played it and broke it in. It kind of reminds me of the Dawn Issue 5. The Dawn Issue 5, I've been playing it. Really stiff material. I don't like that synthetic material. This is what it kind of reminds me of. I'd say the MB.03 is a little bit softer, right? But it's still stiff, and it is an EM material. I don't know how they made an EM material this stiff, but as you guys can see, there's a mesh underneath everything, and then another textile material that it seems like they glued on, right? So it is like on the thinner side of things, kinda, you know what I mean? It's not super thin, but because of all of this glue, I feel like that's what made it so rigid and stiff, right? So if you want like a supportive material, supportive upper, of course this is a really good option. But if you want kind of like a softer feeling shoe, this is not the best, right? And also we have a little bit of fuse as well going around the toe box, so that'll be good for support and durability, but I feel like it's a little overkill, And then here in the midfoot as well, it's like super stiff, right? And then also be careful with the eyelets, because the laces, they only go through these kind of thin strap eyelets that they got going on here in the MB.03, and it feels like it'll, if you tighten the laces really tight, I feel like it'll snap. And I feel like I was reading the MB.03 like reviews online, on the Puma website, and a lot of people said they had issues with durability, so just be careful on that, right? For the tongue, we have a good amount of padding, which does feel nice. The MB line, Lamelo Ball's shoe line, has had very plush tongues, which feels very nice and cozy. And then we have the half booty construction tongue, giving you a better overall one-to-one fit, kind of keeps the tongue in place as well. And then here in the ankle area, we have a good amount of padding, right? So for me, it's not my type of upper. You know what I mean? It's stiff. It has a lot of foam, which of course I do like because it feels comfortable and cozy, but it just makes the overall shoe feel super bulky, especially with the really stiff material. You know what I mean? Like I said, it gets softer and stuff like that, but it's still on the stiffer side of things. So yeah, it's not great. And then there's more padding here in the ankle area on the outside of the shoe, which is, why would you do that? You know what I mean? It makes the shoe feel even bulkier. So yeah, not a huge fan of the upper. And now moving on to the fit, I went up half a size and it fits me pretty well. Like, there is a little bit of length, but I'm going up half a size, it's still a snug fit for me. And I feel like for me right now, I of course I like really snug fits for my hoop shoes, right? But I don't want a super duper snug fit like width-wise anymore, you know what I mean? Because it's kind of like squeezing my foot. It's just not good for me, So I did like going up half a size. If I went true to size, I probably wouldn't have liked it as much. But here in the toe box, it is a very snug fit, and this material does not stretch out really at all. So yeah, the fit that you start with is the fit that you're gonna stay with pretty much. It's not gonna get roomier here in the toe box. And also width-wise, I would say it is slightly narrow as well. And there is a little bit of length because I did go up half a size, but not a huge deal for me. I feel like for length, I should have gone true to size if I wanted my toes to go really close to the edge of the shoe. But like I said, not a huge deal for me. So if you want a very snug fit, then go true to size. But if you want like still a snug fit, but a little bit roomier, then go up half a size. And if you have a wide fit, probably go up like a full size, right? So there is the fit there. Moving on to the support and lockdown. Support and lockdown is absolutely amazing here in the MB.03, right? So lateral containment, you're gonna be good to go. This material is super duper stiff. You know what I mean? They got a lot of glue. They have this fuse as well, and we have, yeah, I don't know how much this helps, with the slime coming up here in the midfoot, but I guess it helps a little bit, And then here in the heel, we have a very stiff internal TPU heel counter. So lateral containment, you're gonna be good to go. No matter how big you are, no matter how shifty you are with doing lateral movements and stuff like that, your foot is not coming out of the footbed, right? And also lateral stability is all right. It doesn't have a crazy outrigger, but I didn't really feel like laterally unstable or anything like that. Probably due to the fact that there is a kind of like a rounded shape here. So it kept me kind of more on the medial side of my foot, So that felt nice. And also, this is a mid-top design. It doesn't provide crazy good ankle support, however. You know what I mean? Like, it's not restricting ankle movement that much. It still felt kind of more like a load to me. But if you want a little something on your, like over your ankle bone, then this is a good option, right? But it's not amazing for ankle support, right? And also, there is heel slippage. And I feel like that has to do with how stiff the sole is, right? So yeah, I guess the foam, it does go straight up pretty much, you know what I mean? And it reminds me a lot of the MB.1 Low. The MB.1 Low had terrible heel slippage. So yeah, because of how stiff the actual shoe is, when I'm trying to bend my foot and I'm walking, You know what I mean? The foot bends, right? So my heel comes up when I'm walking, right? But because the shoe doesn't bend really at all here in, you know, where your foot's supposed to bend as much, my foot kind of comes out of the heel a little bit, resulting in heel slippage. And it wasn't terrible heel slippage, but it was kind of bad for me, and it felt not good. You know, the lockdown was pretty bad for the heel. So yeah, I didn't really like that, and be careful with that. And now moving on to the weight. So this shoe is also freaking heavy, guys. It's like, what, 14 ounces, I think? 13.9 ounces. Let's check the other shoe. 13.85 ounces. So pretty much like 14 ounces, a little bit lighter than that. But yeah, the average weight of my shoes is around 12.5 ounces, and this shoe feels freaking heavy. It feels bulky. It feels not super responsive because of the traction. It also feels really, really stiff because of the stiffer sole. And also I experienced a little bit of heel slippage, which made it also worse for feeling quick, you know, feeling responsive. So yeah, I didn't like playing with this shoe, honestly. It didn't feel great. It's I don't know why, because like the MB2, you know, the material is so much thinner, you know what I mean? It was a lot lighter as well. And the traction was just so much better. So I don't know what they were doing here in the MB3. I feel like they did a little too much, you know, but you know, that's just in my personal opinion, because I am a guard. I want to feel a little bit quicker, you know. As far as the ventilation goes, ventilation kind of sucks, you know. There's like very minimal airflow. I mean, there is a little bit of airflow through like these claw marks, but overall it's a pretty hot shoe, you know, especially because there is a lot of foam right in the back of the shoe. So pretty hot. And as far as the aesthetics go, I kind of like it. It looks pretty cool. You know, it's a very like odd design. It's a very non-traditional design, you know, with the claw marks and stuff like that. So I like how it looks, and the colorways that are coming out, especially, do you guys see the Dexter's Laboratory colorway? That looks freaking amazing. I grew up watching that show, but yeah, I like how it looks. So tell us what you guys think of the aesthetics down in the comment section below. But wrapping things up, yeah, the MB3 is kind of not nice. You know what I mean? The only reason I feel like you would like this shoe is because you want a lot of support, and I guess you want good cushion, you know, for impact protection. But also, like I said, this nitro foam is not super duper soft, not super amazing. You know, if you're looking for cushion, I would suggest, I don't know, like the Zoom GT Jump 2, even the Zoom GT Cut 2, you know what I mean? Or like the AG4, the WOW 10, you know, with the softer stroke board, even the Harden Volume 7, you know. But yeah, I guess that's about it. If you want crazy support and you don't mind how freaking heavy and bulky this shoe feels, and stiff, right? But if you're a guard, I don't even know how Lamelo is playing in this shoe, you know. It's because it literally feels kind of like a brick to me, you know. It's a little clunky, it's super stiff, the traction isn't amazing, it's heavy, it's bulky, it's stiff, you know what I mean? It's not great, you know. So I didn't really enjoy playing the MB3 that much, which sucks because I love the MB1 and also the MB2, right? So anyways, that about concludes my performance review of the Puma MB3. Again, if you guys do want to cop it, try to leave the feeling in the description box, but I recommend not getting this shoe because it wasn't that nice. Thank you guys for watching, and I'll see you guys in the next one.